If you feel that the truth is being hidden from us, know that you are not alone. I am Detective Ozma, and my mission is to uncover the evidence behind the mysteries they want to bury. Today, I am opening one of the most explosive UFO cases ever linked to the United States government. A striking case that is not about an isolated sighting on some deserted highway, but rather multiple sightings in one of the most important cities on the planet, Washington, D.C. It all happened in July 1952. For 2 consecutive weekends, something strange lit up the skies over the American capital. Radar detected unknown targets. Controllers observed lights moving in inexplicable ways. Pilots were sent out at night to intercept whatever was there. And as the reports piled up, so did the pressure on the military to reveal to the public what was really happening above the White House, the Capitol, and the most heavily protected airspace in the country. As I opened this file, one thing became impossible to ignore: it was not based on a single witness, a single photo, or a single rumor. It was based on multiple detections, multiple observers, and a response serious enough to place the Pentagon in the spotlight. And when that happens, it stops being just a sighting and becomes a mystery for which the government had to provide explanations. Evidence 1: Radar contacts over the Capitol. On the night of July 19, 1952, radar operators at Washington National Airport began tracking multiple unknown targets moving through restricted airspace near the city. According to contemporaneous accounts, the objects did not match known flight paths and appeared in positions that immediately caught the attention of experienced controllers. Supervisor Harry Barnes confirmed the returns, and additional targets began appearing across different sectors of the radar scope, including near highly sensitive areas such as the White House and the Capitol. At one point, according to later reports, multiple radar installations tracked the same object simultaneously before it vanished from all screens at once. This point matters because it places the case on instrumental ground from the very beginning. The mystery was not built only on people looking up at lights in the sky. It began with trained radar personnel reporting targets that did not behave like routine air traffic. Evidence 2: Visual sightings by controllers, military personnel, and pilots. The case did not remain confined to radar screens. It was also accompanied by visual observations from people whose jobs required them to identify aircraft and monitor the sky accurately. This section is based on witness testimony from those present. From the control tower, controllers Howard Coughlin and Joe Zacco reported seeing a bright light hovering before accelerating away at what they described as an extraordinary speed. At Andrews Air Force Base, personnel including William Brady and Charles Davenport later stated that they had seen unusual luminous objects that did not behave like meteors or conventional aircraft. Commercial pilot S.C. Pierman also reported seeing multiple bright lights moving rapidly while air traffic controllers tracked corresponding radar returns near his aircraft. That overlap between what was seen and what was detected electronically is one of the most persistent reasons the case remained controversial. These were not random civilians making guesses from a backyard. These were reported observations from controllers, military personnel, and pilots already trained to distinguish ordinary traffic from something that did not fit. Evidence 3: The return of the targets 1 week later. If the first weekend could have been dismissed as a one-night anomaly, the second weekend made that much harder. On the night of July 26, 1952, almost the same pattern returned. A commercial crew reported strange lights above their aircraft, and soon afterward radar systems at Washington National and Andrews were once again detecting multiple unknown contacts. According to the reports, some of these objects appeared to hover or move slowly, while others accelerated abruptly or changed direction in ways that operators found highly irregular. This second wave followed the first by only a week, under similar circumstances, over the same highly sensitive airspace. That repetition strengthened the case. It suggested not a single isolated error, but a recurring event that the available systems and personnel still could not confidently explain. Evidence 4: Air Force intercepts and pilot contact attempts. As the second weekend unfolded, the Air Force sent F-94 interceptors to investigate. That military response is significant on its own. Whatever was happening was taken seriously enough to warrant scrambled jets over the Capitol. One pilot, John McHugo, reported no clear visual contact. Another, Lieutenant William Patterson, later stated that he saw several white lights and attempted to pursue them. According to his testimony, the objects moved too quickly for effective interception, and at one point he radioed that they appeared to be around him before they disappeared again. This is witness testimony from the pilots involved, not a confirmed technical reconstruction. But it matters because it shows that the case did not end at radar observation. Pilots were sent up, and at least one of them came back saying he had seen something he could not catch or classify. Evidence 5, the Pentagon response and the temperature inversion explanation. By the end of July, the situation had escalated beyond a strange radar story. The White House had taken notice, President Truman requested answers, and the Pentagon moved quickly to address the public. On July 29, 1952, the Air Force held a major press conference led by Major General John A. Samford. The official explanation was cautious but clear: the strange radar contacts were most likely caused by temperature inversions, atmospheric conditions capable of bending radar waves and producing false or misleading returns. As for the visual sightings, officials suggested that ordinary celestial or aerial objects may have been misidentified in a moment of tension. This was the first full official framework for the case. It did not deny that something had been reported. It argued instead that the reports did not reflect extraordinary craft, but a combination of atmospheric effects and observational error. The problem is that many of the witnesses, including some directly involved in the radar events, did not think that explanation accounted for what they experienced. And if you've made it this far into the file, you're clearly someone who wants the full picture, the pieces they don't put together for us. So stay close to the investigation. Make sure you're subscribed, because the next files connect in ways most people never realize until it's too late. Evidence 6, the case changed official UFO policy. Washington 1952 did not end with the press conference. In many ways, that was where its deeper impact began. The wave of sightings in 1952, with Washington as its most dramatic episode, helped push U.S. intelligence agencies toward a more formal review of the UFO problem. That process contributed to the creation of the Robertson Panel in January 1953, a CIA-backed scientific review that concluded UFOs did not appear to represent a direct national security threat, but that the public reaction to them could become a problem in itself. That detail is crucial because it shows the Washington incidents were not treated internally as a trivial media scare. They became part of a larger policy shift. After that, the government increasingly favored public skepticism, conventional explanations, and efforts to reduce the cultural impact of UFO reports. In other words, Washington 1952 was not just a famous sighting. It was a turning point in how the U.S. government would handle the subject from then on. As I go through this file, three main interpretations form in front of me. Hypothesis 1, the conventional/atmospheric interpretation. In this view, the Washington incidents were the result of layered misperception. Temperature inversions may have created unusual radar returns, while stars, meteors, aircraft, or other ordinary lights were misread under tense conditions. Supporters of this interpretation argue that the combination of strange radar behavior and human expectation can produce a case that feels extraordinary without requiring extraordinary objects in the sky. Under this view, the event remains historically important, but not technically mysterious. Hypothesis 2, the classified activity interpretation. A second possibility is that at least part of what was detected involved conventional but undisclosed activity, perhaps military tests, sensitive operations, or air traffic not fully visible even to all personnel involved at the time. The Cold War context makes that idea plausible in principle, especially over sensitive airspace. But the problem is the same one that follows many historical cases. No publicly available documentation has emerged that clearly ties the Washington events to a known classified program. So this interpretation remains possible, but unproven. Hypothesis 3, the unresolved aerial phenomenon interpretation. This view starts with the convergence of the evidence, repeated radar detections, multiple visual witnesses, attempted military interceptions, and the inability of the official explanation to satisfy everyone involved. Supporters of this interpretation argue that something genuinely anomalous moved through Washington's airspace on those July nights, not necessarily extraterrestrial, but not convincingly reduced to weather effects either. In this version, the case remains open because the official answer explains part of the story, but not all of it. Either way, the core problem remains the same. One of the most sensitive airspaces in the world produced repeated unknown radar targets, visual sightings, and a military response, and more than 70 years later, the event is still remembered less for its resolution than for how incomplete that resolution felt. I'm Detective Ozma, and I'll keep gathering every fragment, every voice, every piece of evidence they try to erase. Many stories get buried, but never forever. If you, or someone you know, has ever witnessed something unexplainable, leave your story in the comments. Or, if you'd rather stay anonymous, send it to the email pinned in the comments. Who knows, maybe the next file I open will be yours.